agriculture in the West diverts a big percent of available fresh water to grow our food, the target is naturally on agriculture to conserve, to make some of that water available for cities, or to keep it in the stream for the environment. But conserving agricultural water is not always a simple proposition. Colorado law has set in place a system whereby a farmer diverts a decreed amount, puts it on his crop, and the water his crops do not actually consume, consumptive use, returns to the river and other farmers downstream in the form of return flows. Thus, water is used over and over throughout the system. It has often been said, one farmer's waste is the next farmer's water right. But as water supplies are being stretched and a gap between supply and demand is expected, farmers are being asked whether there are ways this system could be improved, such that agricultural irrigation water could be used more efficiently, without harming downstream irrigators. The puzzle is not an easy one to solve. Within the state, different circumstances require different answers, depending on geography, soil types, crops being grown, the source of water, how a group of farmers is organized for water delivery, and even compacts with other states with whom we have to share water originating here. One size will not fit all. So why are farmers and others interested in changing the system? More and more Coloradoans are recognizing that environmental health is not just a feel-good thing. It translates into tourism dollars important to the region's economy and risk management for their operations. These farmers are part of the community. They have to look at what's good for the whole. Besides, the water management and infrastructure changes they are planning are not only good for the fish. These changes will improve the reliability of getting water to their own crops, increase water quality, and reduce the amount of water that gets lost in the system, water that evaporates or is sucked up by non-beneficial plants. Changes in how agricultural water can be used to benefit agriculture and the environment at the same time fall into three basic categories. 1. Reduced consumptive use. For example, a farmer could fallow some part of his land and lease the water not consumed by crops for transfer to cities or to stay in the stream. Presumably, the farmer would want some kind of compensation to do this, because his crop yield, and therefore profit, would be reduced. 2. Improved irrigation delivery infrastructure. Improvements such as repairing leaky control structures, lining or piping ditches, and switching from flood irrigation to sprinkler or drip can leave more water in a stream, but these improvements do not produce any marketable water for the farmer. So environmental and other downstream interests may need to generate the money for these improvements. 3. Reduced diversions. In some cases, farmers could simply reduce the amount of water they are diverting to more closely match their crop demand, leaving the water they used to divert in the stream. Let's look at the North Fork of the Gunnison River in Colorado to see how farmers and others are conceptualizing changes in how they manage their diversions to keep water in the stream for longer periods of time and longer stretches, for the benefit of fish and wildlife habitat and other downstream uses. First, we will look at how they are currently managing their water diversions and how that works. Then, we will look at how simply reducing diversions could help both ag operations and the environment at the same time. Here's how it works now. Farmers divert water based on an assumed demand and their decree from early spring snowmelt. Some users have senior rights and others have junior rights. When there isn't enough for everyone, the seniors place a call on the river, which means the water commissioner has to cut off the juniors and the river gets dried up below the calling structure. Then, some water users resort to using water released from reservoirs to keep their crops alive. By the end of the season, when the natural flow has diminished and crop demands are still high, junior users may have to go without water as the reservoir is already low or even empty. Meantime, there are places where the stream has been dried up below diversions, leaving fish stranded. Here's how it could work. Farmers all along the system could divert not the full amount of their water decree, but just the amount they need for their crop's consumptive use. They could leave a sizable portion in the stream, which reduces the need for a call by senior users. Though the senior users have priority, by leaving more water in the system, everyone benefits because juniors don't have to resort to storage water until late in the season. when native flows diminish. But if it is as easy as it sounds, why isn't it already the normal way of operating? As an individual farmer with a water right, I am concerned not only about growing crops, but about maintaining the value of my water right. If I believe the value of my water right is predicated by the amount of my decreed diversion, or the amount I divert, I am motivated to divert more than I may need, or my full decree whenever possible to preserve my right to that water in the future. So even if the system would work better for all of us, if I were to divert an amount closer to my crop's actual consumptive use, I continue to divert my full decree. But if I could be assured that the value of my water right would not be diminished by diverting less water, and if I had the opportunity to improve the system for the good of the whole instead of just my part, I could be convinced to divert closer to my actual crop consumptive use needs. Some folks have even been looking at the possibility that farmers could be motivated to manage their water in this manner if other water interest groups were to pay them for the benefit of keeping water in the stream, without negatively affecting their crop production or harming downstream water rights holders. This brings up a lot of questions, like, what role do return flows play, and how is that determined, timing of return flows, and necessary improvements, which could require a great deal of investigation. But the concept has promise. Improving irrigation infrastructure can greatly assist farmers who wish to manage their diversions to more closely match crop demand. Antiquated ditch infrastructure and on-farm irrigation systems make it difficult for irrigators to manage reduced diversions. This means we should all be allocating money to help farmers and ditch companies make these improvements. Money to repair 100-year-old ditch infrastructure, like leaky canals or inefficient headgates, could go a long way toward conserving water. Why does this matter? Oftentimes, rivers of western watersheds, like the North Fork of the Gunnison, are dewatered completely by agricultural diversions. This impacts not only fisheries and riparian areas along with local economies, but also downstream ag producers who could be receiving more and cleaner water if diversions were managed differently up above them, to the benefit of all. There are no quick and easy solutions. What works in one area of the state might not work in another. But agricultural users and ditch companies are beginning to see that in some cases, fine-tuning their management practices and upgrading their infrastructure could keep water in the stream longer for the environment and recreational tourism. Such improvements might even make their own agricultural water supplies more reliable. If we look for opportunities to motivate farmers to manage water more efficiently and conserve where possible, the cumulative effect could mean that we have a win-win solution right at our fingertips.